There's a distinct gap between what cybersecurity founders are saying about AI publicly and what they're doing with it inside their own businesses privately. Publicly, the conversation is agents operating inside companies, who should be allowed to do what, how you should govern them, shadow AI, all the things. And then inside, here's what I'm hearing from calls with clients is, will my business still exist because of AI in the next 12 months? And that's a real client asking questions. And I remember thinking, yes, of course it absolutely will. But there's a major gap. And there's a reason to close that gap this year rather than next. And my honest read on that question from that client is that relevance gets decided inside your own business. And what I mean by that is the founders putting AI to work in their consultancies are absolutely going to pull ahead of the ones who are circling it. And that distance widens a little every single week while you're busy delivering. And yes, there's a new model or a new breakthrough landing every single week with AI. You could lose your life trying to keep up with all of it. And awareness is plenty. So let's talk about integrating it, because two things get in the way, and I see both on nearly every call I have with every client, irrespective of industry. The first one is time. You're so busy delivering that integrating AI into your own systems is the job that always keeps seeming to move to next week. It's the same as creating standard operating procedures. You just never have the time to do them, right? Or maybe you have a client waiting for something this afternoon and somebody on the team needs an answer from you and your accountant's looking for something as well. And somewhere in Claude or ChatGPT, there's an experiment or project or something you were thinking about doing and you started it a couple of weeks ago that you fully intended to come back to. And there's all these things waiting on you, right? I have several. It's normal for a visionary entrepreneur. But very often what can happen with the AI is it doesn't actually get anywhere. And it's a bit like it becomes that drawer in the kitchen where you keep your batteries and your takeaway menus and loose screws and the charger from the phone that you probably haven't used or owned since 2019. You know the drawer, there's loads sitting in it. The second thing in the way is that you're wired for risk. The idea of uploading skills, activating them, letting them automate parts of your business with nobody checking the output, that sits badly with you, and it should. That instinct is correct, and I'll show you where it belongs in a few minutes. There's a bit of psychology that explains why so much of this stays in the drawer and never actually gets implemented. Peter Gollwitzer's work on implementation intentions found that people are more likely to follow through when an intention is tied to a specific situation. For example, I should use Claude more. I should use AI more. It's incredibly easy to say, but so easy to say is what makes it so easy to forget. And, I feel like anything that has a should, I should do this, I need to, I have to, makes it feel like a weight on my chest. Whereas instead, if you say something like, every Monday morning, Claude will email me my market intelligence brief. That means you know exactly when you're using AI and what you're using it for. So treat AI like an assistant in your business. An assistant has a job and somebody usually checks the output of the work, right? Which brings me to a really simple loop that I use with clients and a real piece of work. You'd hand it to an assistant, look at what comes back, decide whether you'd use it again, and then adjust the next run based on whatever you learned. And the review step has one question at its center every single time. If the output could end up anywhere near a client, this question should not be overlooked. Would I be happy putting my name on this? For a cybersecurity founder, that's a pretty useful test. Now, some outputs will be freaking brilliant and others will take about 45 minutes to correct or fix after you spent an hour building the automation that was supposed to save you 20. There's nothing quite like using AI to create a brand new admin problem for yourself. And yes, I have managed to do that too. Before I show you the loop working, a quick translation, because if you're in ChatGPT, Gemini, or Perplexity rather than Claude, the word skill might mean nothing to you, and people mix up skills and agents all the time. So the simplest way I can describe a skill, it's a standard operating procedure, a document that tells the AI exactly how you want a specific task or job done, step by step, the same way you'd write an SOP for a new hire. An agent is the AI actually going off and carrying out multi-step work on its own, following instructions in the skill or SOP. And once you're happy with the standard operating procedure, then you can automate it. And that's the order: SOP first, automation second. So here's what that looks like in a real business. A while ago, I created some AI skills for some of my clients, one cybersecurity client in particular. And one of the skills that we created was around agent creation. So how to design skills that can be automated. We created skills like brand guidelines and other stuff related to the work that he was doing in his business. Now, he understood what they were for, and he could see where they'd absolutely help him in his business, but he hadn't actually applied any of them yet. And a couple of weeks later, I was like, how are you getting on with those skills? And he's like, haven't done anything with them yet. And I'm like, what? Why? And so what I figured out was it was this implementation intention. It just hadn't happened yet. And it was the thinking it's going to be too difficult to implement, but actually it isn't. So at a live session, he was using ChatGPT. And what we did was we literally got them uploaded there and then. And one of the tasks that we set up and then automated was a market intelligence research. So it doesn't go out anywhere, it doesn't touch a client, it just comes back to him. It emails him first thing on a Monday morning with the latest trends, events, all sorts of things relevant to him, his industry, and his clients. And over time, the output has gotten so good that he started wondering whether people might even actually pay for it. He's now considering turning it into a paid newsletter. So the AI had a job tied to a day of the week. That's Gollwitzer's point playing out in a real business. And once my client could see this, he could see AI earning its keep every single Monday. He could see possibilities that weren't obvious when the skills were just sitting there in his dashboard. Now he's thinking about it differently. But there is a trap to watch out for. And this is where that risk instinct of yours really belongs. And that trap is ignoring the human checkpoints or really never deciding where the line gets drawn, what AI is allowed to do on its own, and where a human has to look before anything goes out the door. Now, I got a taste of this a couple of weeks ago as a client. I'd missed multiple phone calls and I knew it was somebody chasing me up for a sale. But this time my phone rang and I was available to answer. But a few seconds in, something didn't feel quite right. So I interrupted my caller and said, "Excuse me, are you an AI?" And the answer was yes. I told it I didn't want to think that they were selling me, and could you please stop calling me? It said sure and literally hung up so abruptly. Now, the bot probably followed its instructions to the letter, but as a human being, it still felt rude how they ended the call. And I came off that call thinking less of the company behind it. Now, maybe I'm the grumpy outlier and their numbers look great. Someone still has to look at what happens on those calls, though, and decide whether they're happy with it. I'm really curious if you've had an AI cold call yourself. Tell me in the comments how you reacted, because I'm wondering, maybe I am this grumpy outlier. Let me know. But either way, for you, there's a sharper version of this. You spend your working life looking for gaps in other people's systems and asking who owns the risk. If an AI output goes straight into client delivery without anybody checking it, you've created a gap you'd flag for a client yourself. You've been drawing these lines for clients for years. Draw them for your own AI too. Because as you well know, automating something doesn't remove the need to manage it. Now, the way my brain works with business, whether it's a solopreneur, huge company, every business operates in departments: brand, marketing, sales, finance, operations, client delivery, and people. So I've created 3 Claude skills under each of those 7 departments, 21 skills, several of which can be scheduled and will run automatically for you. And the idea is that they cover each department in your business to free up your time. Grab them for free from the link beneath the video. And when you install the first one, it guides you through installing the rest as and when needed. So you don't need to feel like, how do I get started with this? Literally upload it and then hit go and it will do the rest for you. Now, one thing I always say to people before they take skills from anybody else, read through it and make sure that it's aligned for you and your business. But you'll see the way that I've created these is to actually ask you questions up front and install it in a way that makes it aligned and compliant with your business. So yeah, go and do the thing I said. Read each skill before you upload it. It's an SOP. You should know what it says before you hand it a job. And as I mentioned, there'll be another model update or another breach announcement next week, probably tomorrow to be fair. But the gap between talking about AI and putting AI to work gets closed one job at a time. So go give AI a job and then make it earn its keep.